this is a very unorthodox take, and I know that, but I just need you guys to sit in the car with me and let's ride and have a conversation about Arch Manning. Arch Manning goes against Georgia this week. And this team has been playing better as of recently, outside of 2 games, but Arch Manning has not played bad. The last 4 games, he's had 972 yards. He's 87 for 133, 65% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns in the air, 1 interception, and 1 rushing touchdown. So he's had a really good 4-game stretch, which they proceeded to win all those games. They beat number 6 ranked Oklahoma. They beat number 9 ranked Vandy. And also with the looming distractions that they've heard of with Steve Sarkisian's looming rumor of him wanting to go back to the NFL and try his hand there yet again. And even the distractions with his own play, right? Like, I don't think anybody's sitting up here thinking that Arch Manning is the best thing since sliced bread. But I think he's one of those quarterbacks like Lenore Sellers that could do just to sit behind another year, wait for all these distractions to leave as far as this quarterback class coming up, let those guys leave, and then try to compete against the same thing's happening with a guy like DJ Lagway too. But let these guys try to build up their own reputations without the first year starter title, right? Like, yeah, we've come in for some games and we won some games and we'll look really good in places, the DJ Lagways of the world and all those guys, and let them just play ball from start to finish. And then let's give our opinion on where we think they're going to be. But what Arch Manning needs to do is finish this year out strong. Yeah, did he go to overtime against Kentucky? Yeah. Did he go to overtime against Mississippi State? Yeah. And those teams have looked better than they had at the beginning of the season. So I don't think those are 2 wins to scoff at either. But that's another team that has not been running the ball well. They just are stuck. Wisner's been their top bell cow, with Arch trying to make some things happen here and there. But they're better than some other teams that are running in the ball, i.e. Alabama, right? So that could actually prepare them a little bit forward because they actually can get a 60 or 70 yard game out of the running back, while Jan Miller is struggling to get 20 yards a game at this point. I think they can beat Georgia. Georgia's ranked number 56 in pass defense, but the run defense is number 18. So that's where they're going to have their problems. He could propel himself into a unique conversation as well. Had the hype, failed, got himself back in the conversation, and it's kind of like literally riding the wave of, I'm a pretty good quarterback, but I'm not one of those guys that you mentioned in the conversation, the guys that you want on your team right now at big programs. And I like the fact that Steve Sarkisian always stuck to his guns. Like he did it with Quinn, even though I think with the oblique injury and things like that, you have your thoughts around that, but I think Quinn was trying to play the tough guy in the situation and got us like, I need to put the team on my back. Which, the way that Steve Sarkisian handles a lot of his business is really good from a quarterback's perspective. Look, you're gonna ride out with me. You're not gonna bench me because of injury. You're gonna give me chance after chance after chance to lead this team until you really have no choice and you have to pull the trigger for somebody else. So from Arch Manning's perspective, for people that think that he was just gonna get benched, we already knew the deal. There was never gonna be a time where Arch Manning was gonna come in and get benched, especially if he wasn't really turning the ball over a ton, right? Ryan Wingo has been, when we talked about him at the beginning of the season too, has been a bright spot for him. He has 5 touchdowns so far. He's averaging 19 yards per catch and is the leading wide receiver on Texas right now. And he's 7 yards away from the 600 mark, which at this point in time You would love guys to get into be close to 1,000. We have some receivers that are at 1,000 yards right now, but the way that Texas struggled week 1 and the way that they were kind of mediocre throughout the season up until now, I guess you could still say they've been mediocre, but they found themselves in the top 10 spot according to the College Football Playoff Committee. Jack Injuries is one of those guys that is a tight end that's interesting, and I think he can make plays, but he has to be Gunnar Helm for them in this next matchup. If you watch those games against Tennessee and Mississippi State and Ole Miss, even though statistically it doesn't say Georgia struggles against tight ends, but the tight ends like Miles Kisselman and Seydou Traore and Daquan Wright from Ole Miss, these guys have 30-plus yards receiving, but the way that they're getting open and adding easy first downs for their quarterbacks is a big concern of why I think Texas can propel themselves into getting a win against Georgia if he can be a little bit of what Gunnar Helm can be. And Arch Manning has to feel comfortable with throwing to him, because I don't see a world where there's not going to be pressure in his face. So he's going to need to be athletic and get the ball downfield. But there's, the SEC has been interesting because you find yourself with so many teams in the top 10, including Texas, who, like I said, have been struggling. So they're in a prime position as far as ranking to propel themselves up. They're in a prime position to be able to have gotten a lot of these tough games under their belt. They, unfortunately for them, are going against a team that's running the ball really, really well, but that could fall on its face again, and them still trying to find who that's going to be. But Gunnar Stockton is going to struggle as well because their defense has been, fairly decent this year as well. But more so on the Arch Manning thing, he can propel himself forward. What he needs to do is to stay focused, get the ball out quick, and be accurate, and not force things downfield. Because I think when he forces things downfield, this is when the turnovers happen. You haven't really seen that. He's been really safe with the ball as of late, and they need to make this very friendly as far as spreading out the ball for Arch. As long as Arch is looking for other people not named Ryan Wingo in this game, I think that's where they're going to have success. And I would love to see him use his legs more. Like, what's the problem in being, the Mannings are not the athletic bunch. I think we all know that, right? But with somebody like Arch, who has been super athletic and has shown the athletic ability, why not be that way too? Show Texas something a little different. Make them get reminded of the Vince Young days. And, if that can happen and you can still rely on your arm, because we've seen Arch be super accurate downfield, he just struggles with consistency at this point. But if he propels himself into conversation after a Georgia win, if that's what it comes down to, don't be surprised. We told you here first.